Namaskar, I am Bikul Das. I am the director of KaviKrishna laboratory located in a Guwahati biotech park of this beautiful campus of IIT-Guwahati. Today we are here to share a very interesting story, our research journey of Jiva Upakar Tantra or Vedic Altruism for last 25 years. First of all, thank you Northeast Science Movement, all the young students of Northeast, and Dr. Bula Surduri, who invited me to give this talk. Thank you. Our story started in 1994 in Sualkosi village. A dying patient of cancer, Krishna Das, he told me a fascinating story, his hypothesis about how the ancient philosophy of Jiva Upakar Tantra. Upakar means altruism, could be a revolutionary treatment or idea about cancer. This is the book he wrote, published in 1991 by Assam Book Depot. It's in Assamese. The name is Sunali Nakharjui, the fire of the golden nail that represent Narasimha avatar. Jiva Upakar Tantra or Vedic altruism is based on Avatar-Bad. We all know about Avatar-Bad. We have seen Avatar movies, this. But the real philosophy of Avatar is about during the repression, atrocities in societies, some human being reprogram, become very powerful and protect the society and then sacrifice himself. This is also called biological altruism. This is one of the important concepts in evolutionary biology. Now in this book, a noted artist of Assam, Benu Mishra, he depicted altruism like this. It's a tree, a falling leaf, the red color. It was like green first, it turned into yellow, and then red and fall. After achieving the task, being a green leaves, contributing to the enrichment of the tree, the leaves eventually fall down. The leaf doesn't stay there, because if this leaf decides to stay, because he did all the job, he needs to now enjoy, then this tree is not going to live. This is, in biology, you say, is altruism. That we sacrifice self-fitness to enhance the fitness of the community. In Upanishad, Namaskar, I am Bikul Das. I am the director of KaviKrishna laboratory located in a Guwahati biotech park of this beautiful campus of IIT-Guwahati. Today we are here to share a very interesting story, our research journey of Jiva Upakar Tantra or Vedic altruism for last 25 years. First of all, thank you Northeast Science Movement, all the young students of Northeast, and Dr. Bula Surduri, who invited me to give this talk. Thank you. Our story started in 1994 in Sualkosi village. A dying patient of cancer, Krishna Das, he told me a fascinating story, his hypothesis about how the ancient philosophy of Jiva Upakar Tantra. Upakar means altruism, could be a revolutionary treatment or idea about cancer. This is the book he wrote, published in 1991 by Assam Book Depot. It's in Assamese. The name is Sunali Nakharjui, the fire of the golden nail that represent Narasimha avatar. Jiva Tantra or Vedic altruism is based on Avatar-bad. We all know about Avatar-bad. We have seen Avatar movies, this. But the real philosophy of Avatar is about during the repression, atrocities in societies, some human being reprogram, become very powerful and protect the society and then sacrifice himself. This is also called biological altruism. This is one of the important concepts in evolutionary biology. Now in this book, a noted artist of Assam, Benu Mishra, he depicted altruism like this. It's a tree, a falling leaf, the red color. It was like green first, it turned into yellow, and then red and fall. After achieving the task, being a green leaves, contributing to the enrichment of the tree, the leaves eventually fall down. The leaf doesn't stay there, because if this leaf decides to stay, because he did all the job, he needs to now enjoy, then this tree is not going to live. This is, in biology, you say, is altruism. That we sacrifice self-fitness to enhance the fitness of the community. In Upanishad, the Vedic altruism was called Madhuvidya. The Aranyaka Upanishad, Artharya Upanishads, as well as the Brihat Aranyaka Upanishads and Sandiga Upanishads extensively discuss about the Vedic altruism, the Madhuvidya. In the year 2000, I wrote a book, The Science Behind Squalene. The squalene is in our skin. Squalene is also in all the plants. Squalene is produced by a molecule called isoprene, and isoprene is breathed out by plant. Isoprene goes to atmosphere, become a key components of our biosphere, and this is the biosphere. The isoprene is also in our cells, in our cell membrane. So this is what the Upanishad thought. What we have in our cells, the microsome, is also in macrosome. Upanishad says that we are the madhu for Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is the madhu or honey for us. We're interdependent. Somehow, this Madhuvidya or Vedic altruism came to ancient Kamrup in our Smalkosi Hazu area, because Hazu is well known for Hayagriva Madhava temple. It was based mainly on the Madhuvidya of ancient time. It's called the Vyahu Sutra. So somehow it got preserved and it became Jiva Upakar Tantra. So in 1994, when I was narrated the story, the philosophy, the metaphysics of the Jiva Upakar Tantra, I also met KaviKrishna Bora. He was my mentor for the Vedic science or for the Vedic Shastras, mainly Rig Veda and Bhagavad. I also met a tantric healer, Jagadguru. Jagadguru was practicing his aerosol inoculation against smallpox. The smallpox inoculation is very ancient. It has been practiced in India, also in China. In fact, this idea of vaccination of smallpox came from India and China, from ancient knowledge. So Jagadguru was practicing those method, and he also practicing aerosol inoculation based on the Jiva Upakar Tantra. I have written a book about that last year, but today I will talk about how in 1994 the story of Jiva Upakar Tantra and Vedic altruism inspired me that we probably can connect this thought to our modern medicine science. And I started my clinic in Sualkosi called the KaviKrishna Telemedicine Center. It still exists. I will talk about it. And then since 1994, we had a remarkable journey. And with that journey, in 2008, we had our first publication of what is the role of the stem cell altruism. What is the role of the stem cell altruism in cancer? Then in the year 2012, we have demonstrated that human embryonic stem cells also exhibit the altruistic behavior. At the time, we were not mentioning the... So after we published our work on embryonic stem cells, it was the 2012, but the manuscript was under review from 2009 itself. So in 2009, I went to Assam. I met my mentor, KaviKrishna, because out of 3 philosophers, Krishnaram Das, KaviKrishna, and Jagat Ghora, KaviKrishna is the only one who was surviving. He has been a very noted leader in the Vedic thought, in Vaishnava, in Sankardev philosophy. So he was always eager to know about my research. He wanted to know when will I start the KaviKrishna laboratory, as promised to him Krishnaram Das and Jagat Ghora back in 1994. And I said, here's the time, because we found the result first in embryonic stem cells. So together with him, I went to Guwahati Biotech Park. In 2010, we wanted to do another investigation about how the tuberculosis, the TB bacteria, and the altruistic stem cell in our body might interact. Because as I explained back in 1994, the tantric healer Jagat Ghora was talking about how he was applying Jiva Upakar Tantra with TB. So I went to Roing in 2010 in Arunachal Pradesh. This is where we first started our KaviKrishna Laboratories temporary lab. Dr. Istapulu and Mr. Vijay Shami, they welcomed us in Dr. Istapulu's clinic. We started our temporary laboratory, our first campus of KaviKrishna Laboratory. Ista has been a great contributor to KaviKrishna Laboratory. He has been with us. He's a co-investigator of our current DBT-funded TB project lab. And in 2012, we moved that laboratory to our permanent spot in Guwahati Biotech Park in the IIT campus. In 2013, we published our work, the link between tuberculosis and stem cells, in this journal, Science&Technology Medicine. This is the first coming up laboratory research from our KaviKrishna laboratory. Here, the KaviKrishna laboratory's name is mentioned. So this is how the journey that we started in 1994 with a very small village with the idea that we'll take forward the Jiva Upakar Tantra to the world stage, as the beginning in the year 2013 when we published our first story from our KaviKrishna laboratory. Since then, we have been moving forward. Already 3 PhD students now graduated from our laboratory. I will talk about them. But this year, using this Jiva Upakar Tantra, altruistic stem cell, we published a groundbreaking work on the link between COVID-19 and tuberculosis. We are the first lab from Northeast and first in the world to show that the COVID-19 epidemic might cause another disaster, that the bacteria that hide within stem cell, the TB bacteria, might get reactivated by the virus. This is an example how an ancient knowledge of Madhuvidya, Vedic altruism, which came to ancient Kamrup, became Jiva Upakar Tantra and practiced by some small ordinary healer, tantric healer, been used to write poetry by a small village philosopher, could contribute to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the story of our KaviKrishna laboratory. Our laboratory is not an ordinary laboratory. This is looking for some R&D, trying to obtain patent. Yes, we are working on that. Our laboratory is based on this principle that we can revive ancient knowledge, the indigenous knowledge system, the undisclosed public knowledge scattered around many of the villages in India. Bring this as a world network of knowledge. And in this story has been successful not because of me, it's because of students like you all who are listening to the video. Because I recruited excellent, very enthusiastic students from Northeast. They came to us and they contributed to the science that we have been doing since 2010 in our Northeast Assam campus. So now I will be talking about our students. It's going to be a fascinating story. So in 2012, we had an empty room for our KaviKrishna laboratory. It was a huge campus of IIT-Guwahati, filled with world-renowned scientists. And in one of the corners, we had the Guwahati Biotech Park. We have two outstanding scientists, Dr. Bula Chaudhary and Dr. Madan Thakur. They came to us. They invited us. But Dr. Anil Ghosh, the Bikul, why don't you start a laboratory here? So we transferred our laboratory from Roing, Arunachal. And I had two students, Zoita Talukdar and Sonda Sora. So they were recruited by us with Dr. Deborah Boyson, a professor of Guwahati University, because I became a co-guide for their PhD. So I showed to Zoita Sonda, here's a room. So they started the lab. And now they have become Dr. Zoita Talukdar and Dr. Sora Sonda. Zoita have identified altruistic stem cells in the circulation of cancer patients. She has presented about Vedic altruism, its link with stem cell altruism in international conferences. And she has published several abstracts. She has contributed greatly to one of the manuscripts that we published last year, and her main two manuscripts are still under review because it's very challenging for us. It's a new idea of stem cell altruism. It takes time to publish. A groundbreaking academic theory and research is more than a challenge. You need to be persistent. And Zoita has been an example of that. She is still holding on that. We're still continuing to work. And in between, she has completed 2 years of postdoctoral fellowship at AIMS with Dr. Sujata Mohanty, who has been an outstanding contributor for us at AIMS. And now Zoita is continuing her journey at AIMS. Whereas Sora Sonda, she worked with a very fantastic model of how the cancer begins from toxins. So she developed a model of oral cancer. There she has demonstrated how this carcinogen can manipulate or modulate the stem cells, and they can actually hijack the Jibo Tantra philosophy. We call stem cell altruism now, to convert stem cells to cancer cells. Both of them has worked together with Bidisa Pal at Forsyth Institute, because back within 2014 until 2018, I was also running a laboratory at Cambridge, Massachusetts, at Forsyth Institute. It's a Harvard-affiliated institute. It is very important for us to demonstrate with a lot of findings that how stem cell altruism might be relevant for cancer. And that's why one project takes so many years. We started this project that's so indicted in the year 2012. Our manuscript is still under review, and it's going to, for the first time, demonstrate how the carcinogen can tweak, modulate the avatar pathway, so that some of these avatar cells, or altruistic stem cells, they persist. If they persist, if they don't die, they become cancerous. This is exactly what my dad, or philosopher KaviKrishna does, wrote in this book, that according to avatar philosophy, if the avatar does not go away after fulfilling the task, he or she could be very destructive. This is what Lord Krishna said to Arjuna. Because at the end of the day, Krishna was so powerful, but he was killed by a hunter with a small arrow. Arjuna was saying that, Krishna, why are you dying? You are so powerful. This hunter cannot kill you. Krishna said, my time is over. I have to go. If I stay here, I become a danger for the earth. It is fascinating that we are finding molecular pathway now in cancer, that those pathway that stem cell uses for regeneration, we call P53-MDM2 pathway, they oscillate like a protein pathway. If this altruistic stem cell do not die, do not undergo apoptosis, we call apoptosis or suicide, then the same altruistic stem cell can become cancer stem cell. Zoita, Sunda, Bidisa, also Sukanda Gayan, another very brilliant student, came to us, along with our contributor from Assam's hospitals, Bibura Cancer Hospital, because we have established a interaction, a collaboration with not only IIT-Guwahati, but with Guwahati Medical College, Bibura Cancer Institute, also Dibrugarh Medical College, Assam Medical College. So all of them, Anupam Sharma from Bibura Cancer, Dr. Gayatri Gogoi from Assam Medical College, they all came together, and we published last year a manuscript in cancer research, one of the leading journals in cancer field, that how this avatar pathway, we call a make HIF to stemness pathway, is important for cancer. This is example how our students working in our KaviKrishna laboratory has contributed to the field of the cancer stem cell biology. So then we were lucky to recruit Joyashree Garayan, a very motivated student. She wanted to work with our tuberculosis and stem cell idea. She worked with us, and 2 years ago she has completed her PhD. And she also took us to Jawaharlal Nehru University. Our KaviKrishna laboratory have an active program going on with Dr. Rakesh Fatnagar, of Jawaharlal University, and Rakesh ji is now the Vice Chancellor of Benares Hindu University. Rakesh Bhatnagar was highly motivated, highly stimulated, inspired by our story of Vedic altruism, of stem cell altruism. So he is collaborating. We're working together actually as we speak to take forward the idea of this stem cell altruism in the field of tuberculosis. So Joyashree came to us. She completed her PhD with us. Now she is Dr. Joyashree Garhain, and now after completing her postdoctoral fellowship, she has been now recruited by Stanford University, my alma mater, where she is going to soon start her job. And then we have been able to recruit Sima Bhuya. Sima came to us back in 2012. Initially, she was not sure what she would do, but she was actually managing her laboratory for about 3 years. Then she also started her own journey of research, her PhD, and she has been doing a fascinating work to find how BCG vaccine, the vaccine that we really give to millions of children in India around the world to prevent tuberculosis, whether this BCG vaccine can actually take advantage of stem cell altruism to target cancer stem cell. This is what originally envisioned by poet Krishna Das, that our body might have altruistic stem cell. The way Avatar fight against evil, the same way this altruistic stem cell might fight against cancer stem cell. At the time, I was not so keen for that because I thought philosophy and science may not match together. But after, as we found our laboratory findings, that yes, we can isolate these very powerful cells, altruistic stem cells, they're transient, and they undergo altruistic cell death because they're not supposed to stay. And we can take this advantage of this altruistic cell death and try to wipe out the cancer stem cell. Because for us, according to Jivopakar Tantra, cancer stem cells are nothing but they were altruistic stem cells. They're supposed to die. They did not. That's why they became cancer stem cell. Well, if we can activate the altruistic cell death pathway, we can wipe out cancer. This is what Sima has been doing. This is her last year of PhD. As we speak, her manuscript is under review. She already talked about this work in international conference. And then 2 years ago, she was joined by another very excellent, motivating student, Lekhika Pathak. She was working on the TB. Very brilliant girl, highly motivated, inspired by our thought about Jivopakar Tantra. And she has greatly revived our Sumalkosh's telemedicine center. So Lekhika has worked with Sima. Together they went to Benares Hindu University last year. They gave a talk and then they got an award for the Vedic altruism right in Benares Hindu University. They told me how the scientific communities attending the seminar were all inspired by our story. So this is a story coming from Northeast India. Right from Northeast India. From local students. Working with a theory and a concept developed locally. Now, Lekhika has been recruited as a new PhD student last year. She's working with our laboratory, also IIT-Guwahati. I am our co-guide. With me is Dr. Sanjukta Patra from IIT-Guwahati. We're working together. We're going to work with IIT-Guwahati to take forward our now KaviKrishna Telemedicine Center, which has become very important for COVID-19. Lekhika has been able to recruit 3 outstanding students locally. Again, One is now Partha Soikia. He came to us 2 years ago. He has now joined our PhD program, and he is taking forward the idea that the oral microbiome, bacteria present in our oral cavity, might interact with oral mucosa stem cells, might cause stem cell altruism, and somehow that could be linked to the oral cancer. And then we have Tutumoni Boisho. Tutumoni is interested only with patients because her father died of kidney failure. She has a very excellent rapport with our patients in a rural village in Sumalkusi. She's taking care of the cancer patients, TB patients, along with Lekhika, Partha, Nihar Das. Nihar he's not yet decided to do a pursue PhD or not, but he's coming with us to take care of our patients in Sumalkusi Hazu area. Lekhika also recruited Rupam Das. Rupam is a philosopher. He's just completing his philosophy in MA in philosophy. And he want to take forward our knowledge emergence idea. That from Vedic altruism, from Jivapakar Tantra, from this idea, we also develop a very important idea that how knowledge can emerge. And I wrote an article about this in the year 2003, where we talk about how local interaction, altruistic act, can actually lead to the emergence of knowledge. So Rupam is taking forward this idea, and he's going to surely soon, by next year itself, will join a PhD program to take forward the philosophical, the metaphysical part of Jivapakar Tantra, hopefully with IIT-Guwahati, Knowledge Emergence Department. So these are our students example that we have PhD students completed, and we have new students, and we have two other students, Sukonna and Bidisa. I will talk about that. Sukonna has been really contributing to our area, even though she could not stay with us. She had to go to Pune because she got married, but she's continued to collaborate with us, and she greatly contributed to our manuscript that we published this year, May, about COVID-19 and TB link. Then we have Bidisa Pal, because she came here to Massachusetts. She, for 4 years, between 2014 and 18, was a strong link between our Forsyth Das lab and our KaviKrishna lab. And then she was instrumental in setting up the Thoreau Laboratory for Global Health here in the University of Massachusetts, Lowell. Bidisa has been instrumental in setting up the laboratory here and continue to collaborate so that we can take our idea, local idea at KaviKrishna Laboratory to the world stage through a branch here. It's called Thoreau Laboratory for Global Health. Our students are taking forward this journey of Jivapakar Tantra. Back in 2010, when I started, when I told my mentor at Stanford University, also at University of Toronto, I'm going back to India to start the lab because I promised long time ago. They said this is going to be suicide, Bikul. This is going to be really bad. I mean, they were my well wisher, but it's amazing that I was surprised myself that how our young generation of Indians are so talented. They are so motivated that they are working in KaviKrishna Laboratory. They're taking forward a new idea with courage and determination, with a lot of challenges. And one of the best outcome of this my experience is my new confidence with them, that how they can take innovation to the next step. Example is this, that we need to have the R&D. We need to find some kind of diagnostic therapeutic devices. that came from the Jivapaka Tantra. So this part now Lekhika is taking forward. She's working with a microfluidic diagnostic device along with Bidisa who work with this here. But right now Lekhika is taking forward because IIT-Guwahati has such a strong experience with the microfluidic, with nanotechnology. So we are collaborating locally with IIT-Guwahati, with Guwahati University, with NIPERS to take forward the innovation also in R&D facilities. This shows that Northeast students are equally competent, motivated, competitive like the rest of the world, because I can tell it, because I have worked with many international students. I ran lab in Toronto for about 8 to 9 years. I worked also in California for about 6 years as a principal investigators. I have ran a lab at Forsyth in Cambridge, a very highly talented area of the world called Kendall Square, for about 5 years. I met students coming from all over the world, from China, from Japan, from Middle East, all work with me. With that experience, I can say that students of Northeast are equally competitive, brilliant. What we're lacking is this bureaucratic state, that the bureaucracy is so bad that it's really trying to resist innovation. We have felt it. But despite this, we were able to resist it, we were able to withstand this pressure because we had philanthropists who come to help me. Mr. Dieter Beer, I met him in Bhutan 25 years ago almost. When he came to know about my idea about this stem cell, he said, Bikul, I'm going to help you. He was the one actually who funded to publish my first book on science behind squalene. He's to continue to fund us, even for Thoreau Lab. We need Dieter Beer in India. Many of the Indian rich men that donate to temples or any kind of religious place, they need to donate to science. Like this kind of science where you needed years of incubation. These are new ideas that link the ancient knowledge with modern science. Government cannot help because governments are stifled by bureaucracy. No matter how we wish to do, you cannot do things with government. In history of science, innovation comes from always private philanthropy. In India, we need more Dieter Beer. I have been always greatly helped by Lowell Foundation from California to take forward this idea of Jivapaka Tantra, stem cell altruism, to the next level. This is very important for us. And then we have, I have to say something very important because it is something I actually wrote here in this book, is that how can we take Jivapaka Tantra to understand the climate change, about the effect of pollution in our body. This has been a theme I have been really interested right from medical school. Those who knows me as some, they know me, my medical doctor friends, that I spent about 3 months in southern Kamrup area looking for birds, migratory birds. So I've been always interested to know how our medical science can contribute to study the effect of this climate change to the entire biosphere. And as we speak, we are writing a book and book chapters on this, how Jivapaka Tantra can bring new idea about understanding of the climate change. Now, there is another important issue, is that how do you bring indigenous knowledge systems? Because our journey started with indigenous knowledge system in a village. The IKS, as we call it, has been instrumental in keeping Jiva Tantra philosophy alive for centuries. So we are applying IKS model in our telemedicine care. And last year, Lekhika Pathak, along with our Tutumuni boys, Pedisa Pal, Zoita, and all our team has contributed to publish an abstract on this IKS way to study social disparity in cancer. It was published in Cancer Research. So we are trying to rediscover how our IKS way, our Indian villagers in since ancient time has been managing pandemic, epidemic. This is very important as well for us. So this is one area where Lekhika is now taking this to the next level in collaboration with IIT-Guwahati. Next is this, we are from a silk village. Sualkose has been famous for Muga silk for a long time. Even Kautilya's Arthashastra mentioned about Muga silk of Sualkose. So we have our Muga silk weavers, those who are cancer patients who have been rehabilitating. We have a Muga silk museum for them. They contribute, they weave themselves. And so we have a very strong relationship with our cancer patients. They are working with our students to take forward the IKS way, to take forward and revive the Muga silk industry. This is the example where KaviKrishna Laboratory, which started as a small beginning, as a small clinic in 1994, with the inspiration of the Jiva Tantra, is bringing many of the Northeast students to come develop their own idea, apply those ideas with this Jiva Tantra, Vedic Altruism, and contribute to the society, contribute to India, to the world. In this context, I have a great hope, confidence with our new generation of Indian students. With them, we can rediscover Indian past. We can take Indian science to a new height. That's why, for us, KaviKrishna Laboratory is a unique story. It is an unparalleled story in Assam at least, or even in India, that a poem could be a source of hardcore science. And the idea here in this poem, those who can read Assamese, they'll be very much happy to know, is come from ancient Upanishads, Rig Veda. We have a civilization that goes 10,000 years. We have Indus Valley civilization. So many of these civilizational sources probably scattered around India, still surviving in remote villages around India as undisclosed public knowledge. They're undisclosed because we are not aware of it. They're public because we know them. Jiva Tantra has been always there in Sualkose or Hazu area. People knew they're tantric healers, they're practicing inoculation, they're practicing different indigenous healing methods. People talk about avatar all the time. We have marvelous statues in some of our monastery called satras that depict the philosophy of Vedic altruism. But they remain undisclosed until KaviKrishna came and we are taking forward this idea. This is an example that we are trying to make. This is our story. Our story of taking forward indigenous knowledge system, connecting to the ancient knowledge, Indian heritage, to the modern science. I take this opportunity to thank everybody who worked with us. Many students, I have not mentioned their name, they work with us. Many well-wishers we have from our KaviKrishna has been managed by three outstanding personalities. Mr. Govindra Das, he is the president. Solan Soudhuri, he is the vice president. And we have Dr. Rituresh Kolita, he is the vice president. Solan is the secretary. But many members, we have also Mallika Moral, she has been a human resource manager. She contributed greatly to maintain our animal lab. So there's so many of them I can mention. So I take this opportunity also to thank again the Northeast Science Movement for us, letting us share our story with them. With this, thank you. And I end my talk with a Vedic sloka of Dirghatama. Very inspiring. Dirghatama talk about this, and it still reflects like a true science. Dirghatama, our Vedic Rishi, he is my inspiration. And I wrote a book about our journey of KaviKrishna laboratory from a small village called Ajon Bigyanari Hindutva Jatra. The entire book, the main meaning, main theme is Dirghatama Slok, which I'm going to recite soon. But this is the book about the new meaning of Hindutva. The Hindutva is all about connecting with our ancient knowledge system locally. And then our local students, local scientists, taking forward in a global network. For KaviKrishna, this is the meaning of Hindutva, and this is the story I have written. This is the first volume. It is also now translated to Bengali last year. We're going to soon translate to also Hindi, to most of the major languages of India, so that everybody in India hear our story of the KaviKrishna laboratory. Thank you so much. Yeah, in this beautiful nature, I want to recite Dirghatama's Vedic sloka. Nahi janami yadiva idam asmi ninnayaha sambandho manasa sarami yadima agam prathamarjarittasya ad idvak asana fugamasya. Means I don't know what I'm doing. I wander, my mind wander like a sleeping man. But suddenly I see my vision. I connect to myself. And then I feel courageous. My inner voice comes forward. And I feel happy. I became altruistic. Asuna fugamasya. This is the foundational sloka for Vedic altruism. That those who want to contribute to the society, like scientists, philosophers, many of us, social workers, have to wander in darkness for many years, alone sometimes. We should not complain. We know we have limitations. But despite this, we should go forward. This is the message of Dirghatama. And this is the message example from our KaviKrishna laboratory. Thank you.